On March 9th, 2019, Season 11, Episode 1, entitled Taking Home the Bronze, the Ghouls finished and delivered the very first 1968 Charger to come through the shop. This car had sat for decades in California before making its way to the graveyard. And although most California cars arrive with solid metal, Northern California cars are a different beast. After being stored in a damp climate and exposed to the elements, this rare Charger suffered severe rust damage. Still wearing its original paint and interior, it looked worse for wear, but overall better than most of the cars that darken our doorway. But beauty is only skin deep. Dipping the car revealed extensive rust damage. As a result, 80% of the rear body was rebuilt with new AMD metal. Both left and right, inner and outer wheelhouses had to be replaced. The trunk floor extensions, rear crossmember, and extensions were all destroyed by rust. Both quarter panels were replaced, but remarkably, we were able to save the taillight panel. The main floors were slightly better, with only sections requiring replacement. The left front frame rail wasn't so lucky. Completely rotted out. It required a total replacement. After the mountain of metalwork performed by former ghoul George McGeorge, our rotted-out corpse sprang back to life, and now it just needed a new wardrobe. MM1 Turbine Bronze Metallic is one of the most beautiful colors on any of the Mopar lineup, and Will laid it out like a sheet of glass. This car was coated for the white transverse stripe, better known as the Bumblebee. Although arguably ubiquitous, this classic accent does not disappoint. Dougie rebuilt the original engine to factory specifications, and the pearl white interior only served to complement the complete package. Stand back, my ghoulish friends, and feast your eyes on a resurrected 1968 Dodge Charger RT. Gazing at the front end, don't be shocked if you are instantly smitten with the sleek, recessed grille and brightwork. The 1-year-only round taillights are, to this day, the most popular choice amongst all of the collector car enthusiasts. The design under the hood matches the car for styling cues and colors. When coupled with the interior, there is only one word to describe this car: stunning. This car is why we are recognized around the world as one of the best in the business. This is Graveyard Carz. Beneath the fog, behind the rust, sometimes they come back. There's only one internationally recognized Mopar master, Mark Warman, joined by his friends, family, and dream team, the Ghouls.
Nobody wants to take on the stuff that we take on.
Reviving the past.
100% untouched survivor.
Resurrecting the icons of American muscle.
We are the Shaolin priests of Mopar.
Uncovering stories.
It's the baddest car we have here.
And restoring dreams.
The most iconic muscle car on the planet.
Putting cars back where they belong. On the road.
Here we go.
Beyond a passion.
Oh, that's wild.
One man's obsession. With Mopar perfection. This is Graveyard Carz.
One of the cars that's almost finished now is our 1969 Charger RTSC. Factory 440, 4-speed, 354 Dana car. Originally, it was F5 green, I believe. Green guts, green top, black billboard. We took the car in, sold it to a client that wanted it painted black. So, like the Stones, we painted it black. That's the car that most recently you saw Brian and I working on collectively. It had made it through body. It had made it through paint. It had finally got to the point where we were doing some final assembly on it, and I worked with Brian on doing taillights and front grille and some things like that. So that brings us where we're at today, which is one of the last detailing steps that we like to do on the car is installing any graphics on it. The reason we wait so long to do the graphics and do it at the very, very end is because when you're talking about a car that you could potentially scratch, nick, damage, ding, don't have the decal, don't have a $500 decal on there to find out you have to peel it back off again. It's the very last step before detail, and we ship it off. So the main thing we're gonna work on making sure that we have is the trajectory of this decal. You guys see the side marker opening, very clearly, very plain. We want that right in the middle of the Bumblebee stripe. The Bumblebee stripe has an end here and an end here. So if I represent that, when we put this on, that's where we're gonna be at. I spotted this car about 25 years ago, sitting in a carport in Eugene, bang on the trailer door, and he didn't want to sell it. And we've all heard the story, no, I'm gonna restore it. Well, you're not gonna restore it, because if you were, you would already have done it. By about the 10th or 15th year, I noticed the car was missing parts. I noticed the first was the engine and the transmission were gone. I thought, oh man. Came by a couple years later, the rear end's gone. I think, boy, I see the writing on the wall. He was parting out this car, and I knew at this point with the heart of the car, the engine and transmission gone, maybe the guy would sell it. And I did make a deal to buy the car. We got it torn apart, sandblasted, and it was a mess. It needed almost all of the sheet metal done on it, both quarters, inner and outer wheel houses, trunk floor extensions, rear cross member extensions. The rails were good. I think it got an apron on the front on it. It got the main floor under seat pan. All those things were rotten. A little tidbit here for all y'all that like watching Graveyard Cars for the last 40 years, or 12. I used that license plate on our 1971 Phantom Cuda on the first day of filming the pilot episode of Graveyard Cars. Well, I wanted to have a thing where we thought the car was possessed. I don't know that that ever made it into the episode or not, but that license plate, folks, that was the license plate off that 69 Charger that you're watching right now.
You said you wanted about 1/8 of an inch on the edge here?
Yeah, just an 1/8 of an inch reveal, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch reveal.
Okay.
And then this,
Hey.
trying to show these guys what we're doing here.
Okay, just looking.
No, it's fine.
You want to know how to do this right, you just let me know.
Oh, very funny.
It'd be really important. Keep an eye on that. What'd he say?
He said if you want this done right, let him know.
Oh, Will? Hey, yo,
Yeah.
you got a second?
Yeah.
This is hilarious. The one guy in the world I would never trust to do decals is old long hair down there. I wouldn't trust him on a dare. We've been down that road. I've seen that movie. Go back to the 1968 GTX convertible. I was putting the decals on it. He comes by with some insulting thing, says I look like Danny DeVito or something jumping up there to do the decal, whatever. It earned him the opportunity to show me how to do it. He gets Alyssa. Together, they're gonna put the billboard decals on our 71 Phantom Cuda, no problem. They didn't even get it off the table. They didn't follow instructions. Alyssa told me very clearly that it was Will that caused all the problems, and I have no trouble believing it. Look at the look on Will's face when they've ruined it. It's like the kid with his hand in the cookie jar. It's guilt. That is guilt. Guilt. I have never trusted him since then to do decals. I have no idea why he would come by and pop off like that, except that it's Will. That's the only thing I can think of, is he doesn't realize that his alligator mouth is going to get his hummingbird ass in big trouble someday.
So when it comes to the Cuda, it was 8-10 years ago. It was no more my fault than it was hers.
This might be actually good.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Is it true you said that? That
Said
if
what?
you want it done right,
Yeah.
to ask you? I'm asking you.
Oh, I can't right now.
No, you need to do that.
No,
No.
I can't.
Well, you're gonna put it on.
Well, I'm not gonna put it on.
Well, you're not gonna get a paycheck. Now what do you wanna do? So those are your two choices, no paycheck or put it on.
So this is typical Mark. I'd make a mistake, which wasn't even really a mistake 10 years ago. And he continually beats you down over and over and over. And then he wants to embarrass me because I make a lighthearted comment to Brian. Do you have an extra set?
I have 3 sets.
He's gonna need all of
But
them.
you just went by and said that you know what you're doing and you're really smart.
I didn't say that at all.
No, you said you could do a really good job, so.
I said if he wants to know how to do it, to let me know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have Will actually do the tutorial on these decals. I think that's very important at this point. He's been here 24 years.
7.
And 27 years. He had a little bit of difficulty once before, but that doesn't make him a bad guy. So go wash your hands and we'll reconvene right back here. Anybody got a chair?
Stay tuned. Will the #1 painter surprise everyone when he miraculously earns his stripes?
It goes on the back of the car.
Goes on the back of the car.
Or will playing with a Bumblebee get him stung?
It's got to go.
It's upside down.
And if the decal wasn't enough pressure, Will is confronted on his own turf when Cousin Dougie questions his methods.
They look horrible.
Coming up when Graveyard Carz returns.
Mind if I just have a seat right here?
Yeah, that's fine. It goes on the back of the car.
Goes
Thank
on
you.
the back of the car.
Thank you, Willie.
It's got to go
It's
over
upside
the-
down.
I wasn't applying it yet, I know.
Okay.
Got to go over the marker light hole.
You got that? It's got to go over the marker light hole.
Is there a particular way that you line it up over the marker light hole?
Well, you just put enough to go over the quarter into the trunk jam.
How much should...
That's enough. Like, whatever, like that, probably.
Yeah, put it over enough.
Enough.
Okay, what about the bottom of the tail then?
Well, then at that, since we've established enough's at the top,
Uh-huh.
it'll all just fall into place.
Or it'll just fall into place.
Well, you got a squeegee.
Kind of magical.
Well, not really, not magical, it's just the way it goes.
Where should this style line go in proportion to the RT call out?
This should be like somewhere right above the style.
Should be right above the style line. What should? The whole thing?
No.
Why don't you put it up above it and see how much tail you have? Right now, Will's learning a valuable lesson about opening your big fat mouth.
Yeah, you know, I recall putting an emblem
All
on a
I
car and
want
it went
you to
right on the
do-
style
Then
line.
you just grab your squeegee.
Look into the camera and just say, look, I shouldn't have done it. You know you're terrible.
Well, yeah.
So why would you come by and take a shot at me like that?
How'd I take a shot at you?
You said if you wanted to see it done right. Is that what
That's
he said?
exactly what he, yeah.
Is that exactly what
exactly
he said verbatim?
Yeah.
I wasn't even talking about decals. I was talking about paint. You want to know how to do this right, you just let me know. You know, I can see I may have shot my mouth off. You know, and that's okay, but I didn't mean anything bad.
All right, so here's what you need to do.
Thanks for your time, Will.
Is this side marker opening? Because you know it goes all the way to here. It's not just that. It's all the way over to the reveal. Has to be centered in the decal, real close. We want to try to center it in the decal. It'll have to come all the way down. We don't worry as much about the tail as we do the reveal. When you're doing a stripe like a Bumblebee, there are key spots where you want to make sure you hit your mark at. So for example, like on the RT call out on the quarter panel, it should be where the bottom of the R or the top of the T should have the style line going down it. And then you want the side marker centered as close as you can to the opening, but you've got to line those up with the deck lid. The deck lid is the one thing. You get that trunk lid on there, and then you make sure if you were to sight across the decal on the trunk lid that it's going to line up okay with the quarter panel, that it's not going to have a misalignment where it's got a V shape to it. It should be one steady flow. So there's a lot of key areas there, and that's why we set things out. That's why we line them up. That's why we mask them off. Fit, pre-fit before you ever get the gel out and start applying a decal. Now go ahead and grab the other decal and we'll set the trajectory across the back.
Okay. So this is the first large decal that I've had an opportunity to do here. And it was wonderful having Mark by my side to help me through the process.
Because you've got to make sure wherever that comes out, and this one will end up coming over here, so we want to line up the decals themselves.
Okay.
And it's important here to make sure that on the other end, when this is all set in place, we can follow it without these two having any kind of a weird intersection.
Gotcha.
So we're going to want to put this where we believe it goes on this end, and then on the other end, mock it into place, overlapping this one, and now center the side marker in the decal down low.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to move the whole thing this
The whole thing,
direction.
because I can see there's way too much reveal here.
Okay. Probably
You
gonna
just
have
move
to
things
be-
around. That's what's nice. We haven't ruined anything with the spray yet. Everything is where it's supposed to be.
All right.
So we're going to keep working on this, get it centered where we need it to be, and then we will install the decals. Okay.
So Doug's just been completely all over me to get these valve covers done for him so he can finish the assembly of that 426 Hemi. So the problem I'm having right now is I can't get it to wrinkle. We've been very successful in the past, but trying to explain that to Doug, what's going on right now, is like talking to a wall. He's impossible to talk to, he's impossible to work with, and if it wasn't for my mother loving him so much, I would really give him a hard time. Normally we clean the surface, we bring the temperature up in the booth to like 150 degrees, we apply it, and then as it dries, it starts to wrinkle. But for some reason in this case, it's just laying out like normal paint. It wrinkled in a couple different spots, a little bit right there, but then right over here, it's perfectly smooth. So down this whole side, wrinkled, but I don't know exactly what's going on. It just looks like, good Lord.
Look, I'm under a lot of pressure here. Mark's running around here torturing me saying, hey, I gotta get this Hemi done right now. Well, I can't get this thing done until I get the valve covers painted. So look, I know if I take these valve covers down to Will, he's not even gonna bother with them. I'm gonna have to come down there and check on him. You know, if I got pressure on me, I'm gonna put some pressure on Will. Are they done yet?
Do they look done?
Well, have you painted them?
Yeah, Doug, they're black.
They look horrible.
Again, that's why I was,
Oh, they're wet.
So while the dynamic duo is fighting over how to get a wrinkle finish on a 426 Hemi valve cover, which is a miracle in itself, I'll explain what they're talking about, because that's something they don't like to do, is share why they're doing what they're doing. The 426 Hemi from '64, the time it was introduced in the form of a race engine, up through 1971, factory production year cars that would have had a Hemi. The valve covers were painted a black, but they weren't just a black paint. They were what they call a wrinkle or a crinkle finish. And that is a paint that is designed to go onto the metal and then shrink back, almost like orange peel on steroids. It sucks back and shrinks back, so it has this wrinkly, textured kind of a suede finish on it. It's just what they did on that valve cover. So what's happening now is Will is having difficulty getting the paint to wrinkle back to the finish that he wants.
Sorry.
So I'm trying to explain to everybody at home that we're having a problem and what we're gonna do to fix it.
At home?
Hint the cameras.
Oh. Where's the paint?
Right there, Doug.
This says you're supposed to shake the can vigorously for 60 seconds. Did you do that?
Yeah, I had it on the paint shaker, Doug.
Paint shaker? You have a paint shaker?
Yeah.
Surface has to be clean. Were they clean before you started? Did you guys prep these for paint?
Yeah, just like we always do.
The temperature has to be between 65 and 90 degrees in here.
Correct.
What's the temperature in here right now?
65.
That's all?
That's what it needs to be.
It says here, put it in an oven at 200 degrees and bake. Did you read that?
Yeah, and this is like an oven.
Can you cook a turkey in here?
Yeah, but it'll probably take a long time, Doug. Okay, just stop. Just.
Why, oh why won't Will follow instructions? Okay, you get them painted, completely painted.
Okay.
Do what the directions say, and I'll take them and I'll put them in my oven in the kitchen at 200 degrees. How's that sound? Oh, Dougie's gonna help you out here.
That sounds great, Doug.
Sounds good?
I'll put the coat on right now and get it down to you in the next 20 minutes.
Well, you shouldn't be painting while I'm here. I'm gonna leave. I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Sounds good, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Can you bake bread in here?
You're welcome, Mom. Probably not, Doug. Since Dougie's gonna bake these valve covers, I'm gonna put on as many coats as I can, so that way when it wrinkles, there's really enough material there to do it.
So it's really important that you don't have dust, like he just dropped it on the ground.
On the ground, yeah.
Once we spray it with water, you're not getting the dust off. And if you get a little dust bunny, if you will, underneath the decal, then it's gonna look like a dirt clod underneath there, and you're not gonna get it out. This is the front side. Well, we're not even gonna be doing anything with that. Right, but get the crap off of it. So you know for a fact there is no way a dust bunny is gonna get on there. Now, we have already put a mark on both sides here as to where we want it front to back and side to side. We decided to go off of an original 69 Charger RT, the blue Hemi car that's out back. It has an original Bumblebee on it, so what better information than that? Although when you look at it, the manufacturer did not center the side wings, the quarter panel decals.
It did not.
In fact, one's almost barely in it. So we actually moved this decal here back so that when the trajectory of it comes down, we'd have a nice even amount of reveal on both sides.
About 3/8 of an inch.
Now, I'm a huge proponent of looking at an original car that's never been touched because I think it's the best answering machine you're ever going to have. But when you're looking at that original car, you have to keep in mind that in a lot of cases, such as a decal or an emblem, a nameplate, a human being put them on where they were supposed to go. We've seen that variance all over the map. I've seen emission decals crooked. I've seen tire information labels that are completely crooked. We just know that these were human beings putting them on, and they were building thousands of these cars a day. So it's great reference, but when I put something on, if I think the intention was to have the emblem straight, I don't want to put it back on crooked because it doesn't look right. And the fact that we've touched it is not nearly as cool. Hey, Graveyard Carz put the emblem on crooked. Yeah, it's not quite like saying the factory did. Factory did that, that's cool. That just shows they were making them. I do it and I'm a butcher. So I try to make things the way they're supposed to be from the factory. Be real careful right now, folks. You don't want to get this wet. You don't want to overspray that with it either. So go ahead and pull. Spraying backwards, not to get the backing paper. Okay, let's soak that down.
Perfect.
And now we're going to spray the car.
All right.
In case it goes over on the quarter, we want our slide gel over there. And we're going to line up our marks.
There we go.
We want to lock down this middle.
Okay.
Not this end and not that end yet. We want to lock it down right in the middle. Then we can squeegee our way. You'll do that side.
Makes sense, yeah.
I'll do this side. So I'm just going to start right here.
I know that usually Mark goes ahead and does these by himself. I think once I've done a few of them with him, I'll be able to do this myself as well. I think it really will be a one-person job.
Make one nice, solid, straight pull. Feel how it still likes to move?
Yeah, a little bit.
I got a lot of soap in it, maybe a hair too much. That's okay. I'm going to comb the soap out of it and the water out of it this way. Pull it your way. Little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. It likes to move on us. Is that it? She locking up?
Yeah.
Okay. Go off at an angle like that. Try not to do that.
Try not to do that.
Yeah, just like that right there.
Okay,
Even if you scratch it out here with your palette, that's
Make sure
your
it comes
squeegee.
off the edge. Okay.
Right. Don't ever lock yourself down in the middle until the whole thing's ready to lock down.
Gotcha.
I like to keep it clean while I'm working. Another thing to do, Brian, is make sure this stays loose over here as you tighten it down.
Uh-huh.
You don't want it sticking to the outside corner, and I'm still good there.
We'll make sure we can roll it into the deck lid.
We'll be able to once we get this locked down. Right now, it's real vulnerable to move.
Okay.
So we want to just keep squeegeeing. You'll see every time, like right there, I just got more out.
More goo.
Yep. Another important thing is to have a sip of your coffee.
And?
As you get relaxed on TV,
Yeah.
you care less about your image. The other thing I like to do, because it annoys people at home, and I don't care, is this. Okay, now keep pressing. I see you're not pressing. I don't know what your against pressing is. Press, you're not gonna hurt a thing. Because if you trap one in there, it's game over.
Buddy, you can't say that.
You ever play Frogger?
Yes.
Can't say what. You can, as long as you don't hyphenate the word, I think.
Okay.
Hey, Aaron, can you say on TV? I think you can.
Yeah, individually those words are fine, but when you combine them, the compound creates a new word because that's how language works. So we're gonna have to bleep that. All of that. And look, folks at home, you've been watching the show for a long time, so you kind of know what you're getting into, and you know what Mark's like after 8 cups of coffee.
Titanic.
I'm not even sorry.
All right.
So go ahead and put our slide gel all over this up to here and down the quarter. I'll start working this in. Go ahead and do the quarter. We're using the slide gel right now versus the soap because it's a little quicker. You want time on a bigger decal to move it around and double check all your points. So on that deck lid stripe, for example, we like to use the spray, the stuff that I've made. It gives me a lot of time to take it and move it left, right, up, down, even though we have borders on there. you still have a huge decal. If you set it down and it gets stuck and you can't peel it back up, you've just ruined a decal. This one, we have more room to manipulate than we do the Bumblebee stripe. So, yeah, slather, you like a slather, don't you?
Slather.
However, once you have an established value like that trunk, it's nice to be able to move a little bit quicker. So in this case, we went over to the gel when we put the quarters on. You just load it on there. It doesn't matter. You've got a whole bottle if you want to. We use as much or as little as you want. But when you squeegee it and you make that pass on it, once you do that, your product is going to go out from underneath it. It's going to squeegee out from underneath it. And within a few minutes, you can peel that backing paper off. I would imagine they may have used something like that at the factory, but I don't know that. So we just need to line up this top one here with that right there.
That way though, you want your dot to be past the green.
Yep, we gotta be right there.
Right there you go.
Okay,
Yep.
So just like with the other ones, we made a mark. So we're gonna line her up right here with that and that. And that goes there, and that goes there. We don't want this to stick down yet because this corner is where air likes to build up. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set it right where we want it, which is there. We established that earlier. We're gonna go ahead and comb this gel out. Now this stuff sets up light years.
Okay.
Light years faster. What we're gonna wanna do is get it to this corner here. We don't wanna go over the corner because I need you to lift up on this in a minute.
Okay.
And pull it tight while I round that corner. That way we don't get a bubble under it.
Okay.
Now at this point, I'm gonna have you pop the trunk.
Ready?
So this thing isn't fighting that, and that's good, it's plenty. Now one of the reasons I like to have an extra set of hands when you're doing a large decal like this is not only are you just covering a lot of real estate, but that corner up there where it goes from the horizontal plane of the top of the quarter panel to the vertical plane, I've messed that up many times myself because you can put the decal on, squeegee out the top of it, squeegee what you think is across that area where it rolls, the corner. But your squeegee's flat and it's round. Maybe you got all the stuff out, maybe you didn't. Then you start moving your way down on it, you're gonna have an air pocket at that corner. So with the extra set of hands, they go in and pull that thing tight while you squeegee towards the roll, then come down that roll like that. Now you have a nice tight finish. Great. Now we're getting somewhere. That should avoid a bubble there. Now that's probably pretty stuck. So now we're gonna comb this corner one more time. All right, so now trade your places there because I've got to get over here, my righty, and have you pull back out on it again while I comb this down here. Once we get around this corner, we can just let it lie. But I've done it where you lock this down, you lock that down, and somehow you have air bubbles along that corner.
You get a whole line of air.
Yeah. Okay, you can go ahead and let it down. All right. Just keep that pressure on as you go. Now you hit that side marker and it wants to go bananas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's a little tricky through there. Go ahead and pull down on it. Pull it tight. And get this one combed out. I just leave that side opening, that side marker opening alone.
Just leave it alone. Okay.
Comb around it till you can see the darn thing. Now you can start seeing an impression of it.
Yep.
So we'll know where it's gonna be. And we shouldn't have any air bubbles. Great. So there's always going to be a little bit. They give you more than you need. And you don't want to wrap it around like you do in the trunk jam.
Okay.
To me, because I don't want it to peel later, I cut it just perfectly even with
Right
the bottom
on
of the
here.
quarter. Right on the quarter itself. You know where the end of the quarter and the extension are? Just razor blade right through there.
Okay. So right here.
Literally where your finger, yeah, if you
Okay.
were cutting your finger if you were running.
Gotcha.
Okay. While that sets up, we'll go do the other side.
All right. Let's do it.
Still to come, Mark and Brian continue the delicate process of applying the Bumblebee stripe.
Just don't panic. Something's gonna go wrong.
But will the pressure cause them to lose focus?
What'd you eat today?
Meanwhile, Cousin Dougie volunteers to dry the freshly painted valve covers. But is his time-saving scheme half-baked?
205, that should cook them.
Find out when Graveyard Carz returns.
In 1970, Dodge built 1,443 Charger RTs with a 440 Magnum and a 4-speed transmission. This Charger RT was built on September 11th, 1969 in St. Louis, Missouri. It also happens to be the subject of this week's autopsy report. So remember folks, when we're reading a fender tag, we read it bottom to top, left to right. So let's get started. Our first code is E86. That's the 375 horsepower 440 Magnum engine. D21, 4-speed manual transmission. XS29, X stands for Charger, S stands for RT, and 29 stands for 2-door hardtop. U0G. U represents the 440 Magnum again. 0 is the model year of the car, so 1970. G represents the assembly plant, which is St. Louis, Missouri. 119941 is the unique serial number for this vehicle. EF8, that stands for dark green metallic. The next code here stands for the interior trim. We've got C6F8. That basically means that it has bucket seats in green. EF8, that's the upper door frame color, and again, in this case, it's dark green metallic. 911, that's the scheduled production date for this car, so that stands for September 11th, 1969. 003269 is the unique shipping order number. V1F, that is a vinyl top in green, folks. A04 stands for basic radio group. A33 is a track pack axle package. That means it's a Dana rear axle with 3 54 gears. B51, power brakes. C16, center console, which is kind of cool for the 4-speed. C55, bucket seats. G33, left-hand outside chrome mirror. J25, 3-speed wipers. M21, drip rail moldings. M31, body belt moldings. R11, AM Music Master Radio. V6W, that is a unique reverse C-stripe that Chargers get, and it's in white. 26, that means it has a 26-inch radiator, which was part of the max cooling package. END, that represents the end of the sales codes and the end of this week's autopsy report. Insert something crazy, because my dad loves it.
Okay, same thing. On this side, yeah, lather it up. I'll get this going here. Well, the main thing I tell people when they're doing these is just don't panic. Something's gonna go wrong. You're gonna get a bubble, it's gonna pull, it's gonna move on you. Just relax. Get the decal back off again, clean it up, put some more juice down, do it again. You just can't be in a hurry for this stuff. Takes time. Wasn't nobody pressing that Picasso guy, were they?
That's true.
Rembrandt, any of them cats?
No.
No.
Da
You
Vinci.
just let them do their thing, yeah. Da
Cellini.
Vinci. You just got back from Italy, didn't you?
I did.
Nice.
Got to see some of that stuff.
Let's go ahead and put some on here without blocking the cameras, Apo.
Sorry, cameras.
It's okay, you can't help yourself. What'd you eat today? Dude. Sick, man. All right. Trying to think of something funny to say. It's okay.
No.
I can write you some bits later if you need.
Why does that sound so funny? Why does that make people laugh?
Oh, because men are ridiculously childish.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, here we go, here we go. Now line this up just like we did the other side. You keep the tension out off of it. Keep it away from the panel. Let me set this little bear down here. I like that, and I like that. I'm gonna double check my trajectory because folks, this line's going straight. You want it to continue straight all the way over the quarter. You don't want to have that one on the quarter go that way or that way. So just hold on right there. That's beautiful.
That looks really nice.
Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna lock this down first. Right across there like that. This one goes out here, that one goes out. Okay, let's go ahead and try this corner here.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Pull it towards the panel and down hard. Right there, that's good. I just want to get this corner first. Okay. Pretty centered in the opening though.
Yeah,
Not bad.
it is. Not bad at
Not
all.
bad at all.
A little bit better than factory.
Yeah. We'll take it. Okay. We'll let that set for about 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
Finish cleaning up our mess, and then we'll pull the backing paper off, and voila.
Voila.
We should have a Bumblebee stripe on. We're gonna have to trim that quarter panel where it goes into the trunk. Have to trim it up a little bit.
Yep.
I've seen them all over the place. I've seen it where it barely covered the corner, and then I've seen other ones where it went all the way through the jam.
Okay.
So wherever the last good part of this one is, we'll make the height of that
We'll
one the
match it.
same. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's how you put a Bumblebee stripe on.
Okay, so Will got my valve covers painted. Let me check the temperature on the oven. 197, 200. Look at that, 205. That should cook them. I don't know why Will does the things he does. These things have to go into an oven to come out right. Mark taught me a long time ago. That's why we have a commercial kitchen. Put them in the oven, 200 degrees. They'll come out perfect. This is so simple. I don't know why Will won't follow instructions. So, they look pretty good. Let's hope they crinkle up. Give them about an hour to cook. And if they wrinkle, we're golden. Yeah.
Still to come, will Dougie's newfound career as a baker go to his head?
He's doing like victory laps. It's just too much and it's over the top.
And with the Bumblebee stripe firmly applied, is the 1969 Dodge Charger RT ready to return home? Or are there still some surprises in store for the assembly tech?
I need to figure out why that park lamp's not on. This car's leaving today.
Find out when Graveyard Cars returns.
We're gonna do a systems check on this 69 Charger. First thing I like to check is the headlight doors. Headlights, high and low beam. Left turn signal front. Right turn signal front. Park lamps. Turn signal indicators. Left turn rear. Right turn rear. Brake lights. And right here, I need to figure out why that park lamp's not on. This car's leaving today. I've spent about a year with it, but we want to check these things out before they leave and make sure we address them. So there's one thing for my list. All right, I'm going to do a quick little check of the gauges here. The clock's working great. Fuel gauge is reading. Looks like my temperature gauge is starting to come up. Got real good oil pressure. And we're getting a small charge on the alternator right now. So everything looks excellent right here on this gauge panel. I'm going to shut down the park lights and I am going to turn this car off and start doing a little bit of an inspection on the outside now. So one of the things I like to do once I've checked the systems is just get a look at the gaps on the car. So I like to start over here and really look at this gap between the hood and the fender, okay? And that is an excellent gap right there. Nice, consistent gap all the way up. One thing I've really learned working on these cars is just because I've been looking at them for a year doesn't mean I didn't miss something. So I go over every detail. I check it all. Got a real good gap right here on the back edge of the fender going into the hood area. Very consistent gap all the way across. kind of work around and get a good look at the front of the car. I really just kind of want an overview of that front end, right? I'm looking at the bumper and the bumperettes and the valance and the grille and all of the reveals kind of as a whole unit, right? And I just want to see if anything stands out or if it just looks nice and symmetrical. This one is just gorgeous, absolutely beautiful 69 Charger. Hood to fender gaps, fender to door gaps, door to quarter gaps, deck lid to quarter gap, finishes, functionality, general overall appearance. I have to pretend that I'm looking at this thing for the first time through brand new eyes. I check the windows to make sure they're functioning correctly. Check the trim and the ornamentation to make sure it's not loose or I didn't miss a fastener. I always check the gaps where the hood matches up to the fenders. If those match up nice, I need to make sure that the fender to the door matches up nice. And then the same thing, if the door fits with the fender and the fender fits with the hood, then I've got to check to make sure the door fits with the quarter panel. Yeah, overall, I'm taking this car in like it's the very first time. Like somebody else actually did the job and I'm looking at it for the first time before signing off on it. Hey, I even checked the reverse lights. The trunk compartment must be completely finished out before I send the car down the road. I'm looking at the jack instructions, the spare tire, the trunk mat, the lug wrench. Everything on this car came out perfect. I'm gonna let Mark know this thing is ready to fly down the road. Okay, Charger emblem, little RT emblem. One of the awesome features of the Charger is this fuel cap. I've had this thing open 100 times, but we'll do one final check on it, make sure she's good. Okay, that looks good there. Our decal, gorgeous. So I'm gonna just kind of put my hands on everything, make sure everything feels nice and tight right here. All right, everything feels really good under here. Everything looks nice and tidy. So I think we're good to go under the hood.
All right, guys, I have no problem. We're a team here at the shop. Somebody jumping in to help. We do that all the time here. Problem that I have, I think he has spent too much time with Mark because now these are done, he's doing like victory laps and pretending like he's Vanna White and this and how great these look. It's just too much and it's over the top. Voila.
Delivery day at Graveyard Carz is always special for the team, enjoying the culmination of effort from every department and every individual. The passion behind each person and their skill set is on full display. The reward is watching the car transform from where it began to where it is now. From ready for the wrecking yard to ready for the road ahead. Sending a car home is the most gratifying of all the steps on this journey. There is no doubt that we love these cars and hate to see them leave. But the reward in knowing that we just signed a new lease on life for that car makes everything we do worth it. This is Graveyard Carz.